Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for my first Hot Toys 1/6 scale DC Comics figure unboxing and review. And what a way to kick off the comic book line with none other than Batman, based off his appearance in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Seriously, love the books, so freaking excited for this. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down that way, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button so you're notified as soon as brand new Batman content goes live. If you'd have told me even like 3 years ago that in 2025, I'd be sitting down to review a Dark Knight Returns comic book Batman from Hot Toys, I wouldn't have believed you, but here he is. It is happening. As for the box art, love the composition. Batman up front, city skyline down below, gloss finishes for those bits of artwork, satin for the background, panels behind him, and chrome for the logos. Then we've got the corner cover box making it sort of look like this is a cover from The Dark Knight Returns. It isn't though. Interestingly enough, they have heavily modified a piece of artwork from The Dark Knight Returns for the front cover of the box. This is a piece of artwork in question. They've changed the color of Batman's cape, boots, gauntlets, and his cowl, plus the utility belt, then they've removed Robin entirely. That means there's a lot of new additions to this artwork, including the rest of the cape wrapping around the edge of the box. I'm not sure how I feel about them modifying imagery from The Dark Knight Returns. If you've got thoughts on it, just weigh in down below. This video is brought to you by JustinsCollection.shop, the home of the figure first aid kit, as well as other accessories to help your collection be the best it can be. The first aid kit contains multiple tools to help you with maintenance, styling rooted hair, and much more. We also sell crotch grabbers, soft rubber tips to prevent damage, and they're compatible with most modern Hot Toys base molds. Acrylic risers come in multi-packs, they're optically clear, thick and sturdy, and stackable. Check out the link to JustinsCollection.shop in the description. Like, was it even necessary to do that? They've got 4 iconic covers from The Dark Knight Returns to choose from, and that was their approach instead. Don't get me wrong, I still love the way it looks. It's just a bit strange what they decided to do. On the side of the box, his cape spilling over the edge, Dark Knight Returns logo, and some comic book panels in the background. They could have easily just gone with this. On the front of the box, they wouldn't need to recolor anything, they wouldn't need to change anything, but maybe it didn't fit their vision. Around the back, more panels, then straight through the middle, warnings, legal information, and Hot Toy store locations. Aha, I think I get it now. So they're homaging that cover on the inside of the box with some figure photography, and they didn't want a 1v1 comparison, maybe, versus the actual artwork on the outside of the box, because immediately you would have been able to see that this figure can't really pull off that pose, but first in-hand impressions for this big, chalky beast of a Batman, he is so freaking heavy. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's a reused Iron Man base, just want to get that out of the way right off the bat. Yes, terrible pun intended. It works, maybe, sort of just for Dark Knight Returns Batsy. It's a little bit too techy for me. You could argue this is the roof of the Bat Tank or inside the Bat Tank, and the color scheme is straightforward enough, bluish grey, it's got this matte finish to it, gunmetal and silver. Doesn't take too much attention away from Batman himself, but imagine like a gargoyle base or a rooftop base, something that's more Dark Knight Returns specific that fits the vibe of the comic. That would have been my preference. Up front, big, bold Dark Knight Returns logo, then a metal flight pole with a crotch grabber on it. This time, because Batman's suit is full fabric, they could have given us a waist clamp, but seeing as though he's known for doing aerial poses, like what they've got on the front of the box, it could have worked for him. If you've not read The Dark Knight Returns, please pause this video, go and read it, or at least watch the animated movie. It's a two-parter, and Peter Weller as the voice of an older, grisly Batman, pure casting perfection. This is not a normal sniper rifle in the comics. It shoots a grappling line, and he uses that to tightrope walk across two buildings, but in 1/6 scale, there's painted bullet detail on the magazine. That's because this is reuse. I don't mind the reuse because it came with BVS Batman originally, and I like that connection. BVS was inspired by Dark Knight Returns after all, but maybe a new magazine mold would have worked without the bullet detail. You can bring the bolt back, then see the bullet through the ejection port, glossy paint on the bubble dome lenses, and we've got a green sling, which is book accurate. This is another grappling line of sorts, real string at the bottom, then we've got a batarang up top that's heavily weathered. This has seen some serious use, silver for the blade, and a lot of scratching on it. You would not want to get hit by one of these batarangs. They are covered in what looks like rust, maybe dried blood. This Batman does not hold back, and he doesn't clean his batarangs either. There is some shiny silver underneath all the schmutz, but they are totally caked in it. They're a little bit prickly. Do be careful not to spike yourself when you're wedging these in his hand. Speaking of his hands, look at the leather grain texture. The wrinkling, the simulated pulling of fabric between the knuckles on his fingers, and there's a hand that's included specifically to hold all four batarangs. This looks sick. I will 100% be displaying my Batman with this hand and these batarangs. So they've given us 3 mouth plates, a neutral one, a smiling one, which looks very sinister, and a mouth open screaming one. We'll try out all 3 of them on Batman a little bit later, but right now, the detail, especially on those teeth, very impressive. And lastly, not nearly enough hands, but the basics. 2 closed fists, and you already know how I feel about the leather grain texture and detail, sublime. Batarang holding hand, trigger finger hand, prying the fingers open to pop the rifle in there. You shouldn't need to heat up the hand first, the material is soft enough. Then 2 fingers splayed out open palm hands. What we're going to do now is get Batman himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that yet. At the end of the video, that's when we'll be exploring poses with the dynamic moving camera, so stay tuned, please stick around, it will be worth it. With him simply standing here, rotating around in front of us, this figure is a beast. He has so much presence. There's so many figures that we wish had this amount of presence, and Batman does it with ease. Ignoring the source material for a second, which I know is hard to do because it's the Dark Knight Returns, but short ears, big, burly body, the ripped physique, the weathering, the yellow belt, the grey suit. This is such an iconic design for Batman that it just catches your eye immediately, and what you can do with him when it comes to poses thanks to the full fabric outfit, this is very quickly becoming one of my favorite Hot Toys Batman figures of all time, which is saying something because they have given us some absolute bangers. Up close and personal, kicking things off with one mean-looking Batman sculpt. Is it perfect? Is it 1-to-1 versus every single panel in The Dark Knight Returns? Of course not. They couldn't even accomplish that if they wanted to, because Batman looked different from one panel to the next, one part of the book to the next, given Frank Miller's chaotic art style. But it captures the vibe of Dark Knight Returns Batman to a T. The angry-looking furrowed brow sculpt they've got up top for the cowl, the leather grain texture that's subtle, his ears poking out on either side, the short stubby ears up top, and there's this gritty looking speckling effect on the surface, not just for the cowl, but all of the sculpted what would be leather bits and pieces. I'm not sure about the cape attachment method, but we'll come back to that. I love that you can see his nose poking out from underneath the cowl, and all of the wrinkles, the 5 o'clock shadow, the cleft chin at the bottom. This is pretty much everything I was hoping for out of a Hot Toys Dark Knight Returns Batman sculpt and more. I reckon they nailed it. Let's switch out the mouth plate now, see what some of the other ones look like in the sculpt. Look at the detail Those teeth, they look like individual sculpted teeth, the spiky canines. There's texture on his tongue, for crying out loud. It looks a little bit wet and glossy. You can see the gums below the teeth. They're subtly translucent. The realism on display with this mouthplate is crazy, but this isn't even meant to be a realistic looking figure. It's based off a comic book. They went to town with the detail. And the tolerances. The mouthplates fit in perfectly. There's a little gap around the edge, but it still looks pretty darn seamless. Okay, I think I found the one. The mouthplate. It looks like the cowl was sculpted with this expression in mind because look how the wrinkles all match up. And how the built-in expression with the cowl, if you angle the head sculpt forward, perfectly suits this look. If they eventually give us a mutant leader, I will probably display Batman wearing this mouthplate, fighting mutant leader in the display. Now, it's worth noting the head sculpt is height adjustable, but not by much. You get a little up and down. You can just adjust it depending on the pose you're going for. Back to the stock mouthplate, let's talk about this mess. What's going on with the cape and how it sits over the base of the cowl. Why did you all do this? Hot Toys. I get it. In the books, the cape and cowl, they're one thing, and I still believe if you cover the entire base of the cowl with the fabric for the cape and make it one thing, that could work, but I know there'd be a fabric and texture mismatch between the top part for the head and the base of the cowl, so maybe not. This is by no means the best solution. A lot of companies just have the cape sitting underneath the base of the cowl, and that is something that I think could make this figure look a lot better, because with this wrapping around the back of his neck, it comes across like a shirt or a sweater or something, which is not the look I think they were going for. Like, it's a nice color, it's a deep, rich black, it's slightly darker than the sculpted bit, so there's some contrast going on, it's weathered at the bottom, there's 2 wires on either side, so 4 wires in total, they're nice, thick, strong wires. It's pleated over his shoulders. I want more cape, and I don't want the strange connection method up top. He does wrap himself up in the cape in The Dark Knight Returns, and with the way Hot Toys have set this up, you simply can't do that. And then around the front, the wires integrated into the pleats, but they stick out strangely. It doesn't look smooth or seamless the way it's supposed to. Let's move on to the body. Custom body specifically designed for Dark Knight Returns Batman. It is gigantic. But he can still get his arms completely flushed down by his sides, even with the size of the biceps, because they've hollowed out the underside of the armpit area, so that's where the excess fabric for the suit goes. It tucks in there as you bring his arms down. And ratchet joints in almost all the right places. They're missing some ratchet joints in one key area, but we will get there. The arms are all sculpted plastic underneath the spandex suit, and you can see some musculature poking through, even some vein work on his bicep right there. So how do we feel about the weathering? Not on the gauntlets and the gloves and the sculpted bits, the belt, but on the fabric undersuit. It's mostly in the crevices, so I would describe the brown weathering as sweat stains, which is kind of gross, but this is an older, big, chunky version of Batman, so for me, that checks out. But if you don't like the weathering, I fully understand. You might be able to remove it with some kind of cleaning product. I am not brave enough to try that. The chest symbol is heat transfer vinyl, I believe, fused to the suit. There's leather grain texture to it, weathering around it, and even some indentations up front, meant to mimic the look of striations in his pecs, I reckon. So while the cape isn't perfect, the one big issue that I've got with this Batman is the gel padding for the abs and the pecs. It's squishy, it's soft, it allows them to get very granular with the detail for all of the muscles up front, but it also completely limits articulation. No ab crunch. He can go a little bit forward, a little bit back, nowhere near enough. This version of Batman was always hunching forward, crunching down in the comics, and you just simply cannot recreate that in 1/6 scale. Big miss. So what's the alternative, I hear you ask? This. They've literally done it on the same figure. Spandex over sculpted plastic muscles. You don't need gel padding, Hot Toys. Just sculpt the body underneath the outfit with this ripped physique, then have the fabric be super tight over the top, and it would show through just like it's doing on the arms. It wouldn't have been as tight, as form-fitting, but that might have actually added to the look rather than taking away from it, and it would have allowed way more articulation. But anyway, these gauntlets are beautiful. The crispness of the leather grain texture is insane. We've got seams sculpted in and all of this wrinkling. The blades, they're shiny. There's also some chipping and scratches on them. They are, however, ABS plastic. They're not soft or flexible at all. So when you're handling this guy, be careful. They're not only sharp, but brittle. So if they were to catch on something, they'd probably break. His belt is just disgusting. It's filthy. It's covered in washes and dirt just collected in the crevices. This is an old belt. It's seen a lot of use by this older version of Batman. I like the detail where the leather looks a little bit cleaner, where his belt maybe used to be when he was even bigger than he is now, but he's had to tighten it up a little as he's lost some muscle mass over the years. This all sculpted plastic, but it's PVC, it's soft, it's flexible, it's adjustable, you can move it up and down, pose depending. Look at the size of this dude's legs. They are tree trunks. Seriously, the size of it is crazy. And it's all sculpted plastic once again. There's some padding down below the knee, but that will not get in the way of articulation. Also, the trunks, they're separate pieces of fabric, so you can adjust them. Oh, Hot Toys, you are spoiling us with these boots. Just look at them. All of this leather grain, how they're wrinkled up. Everything that I ranted and raved about being great with the gauntlets, true for the boots, but they're even better because they're seamless, yet we've still got articulation because they're PVC plastic. No need for split-cut boots when Hot Toys can do stuff like this. And the weathering, they are covered in mud and dirt, even on the underside, fully sculpted tread that's been fully weathered. Almost time to move on. I quickly want to try putting the cape underneath the cowl, just to see if that's even possible. Oh, it's possible, alright, and it looks like $1,000,000. Still not flawless because of the wires for the cape. They look a little bulky over the shoulders, but the traps now, they're visible. All of this extra sculpted detail and all of this extra weathering. It's almost like it was maybe designed with this in mind, but then they changed the direction last minute and they adjusted it so the cape sits over the cowl instead. There's Velcro tabs underneath this sculpted plastic bit to lock the cape in place when it's over the top, so it is properly meant to look like that. It's just that this, in my opinion, way better. It pains me to do this, but back to stock. Let's leave it like this for the rest of the video. As much as I would prefer not to, this is the way Hot Toys intended it to be. For a quick side-by-side comparison, there's not many figures out there that can make BVS Batman look small. But Dark Knight Returns Batman does it. He's taller, he's broader, he's chunkier. Everything about him is more intimidating. This is the 2.0 BVS on the right, and you can see the design inspiration. The shorter ears, the bat symbol. It's not the exact same shape, but it's in the ballpark, and we've got the contrasting utility belt. I'm considering maybe displaying them next to each other just so that I can see comic book versus live action on the same shelf, but I'm not sure yet. Nah, who am I kidding? I've only got one slab in my collection. I'm not a comic book collector by any means, just this 9.4 Dark Knight Returns Volume 1 First Edition, but just look at him. Batman next to the book that this look is based off. Cannot pass up the opportunity to have these together on the same shelf. Going over articulation, starting off with Batman's head sculpt. No joint at the base of the neck, it just clips into the body. Instead, all of the range comes from the split cut design and the head itself. Double ball peg for it, looking forward to there, pretty restricted thanks to the big chonky chin. Looking up to there, just enough range for a convincing gliding or jumping pose, I think. Swivel and some pivot side to side. His arms go pretty flush down by his sides, going up to there on clicky ratchets as the suit moves very freely. forward and back friction joints, butterfly at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow, getting you to just about 90, bicep being the size that it is, restricts range. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. Heavily gel-padded torso for the muscles, crunching forward to there, fighting against that padding. Pretty much no range, maybe a little. Going back to there, further than forward at least. Swivel and some pivot side to side. Legs will go forward to there on ratchets. They tend to spring back down if you bring them all the way up, just given the size of the thighs and how they collide with the hip area. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee on ratchets, going past 90, but only just. Look, I've got an issue with the ab crunch, but this I love. Seamless PVC boots, double ball pegs inside of them, good for forward and back, rotation, as well as heaps of ankle tilt. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is very frustrating because in The Dark Knight Returns, this older version of Batman, he was always sort of crunched forward, curled up a little. In 1/6 scale, they really needed to nail articulation for the ab section. And what did they do? They gel padded the muscles so that there's pretty much no articulation. I was expecting a lot better out of the torso when it comes to crunching forward. Going back is good, side to side is fine, but forward, pretty much nothing. The second annoying thing, I would have loved a bespoke gargoyle-themed base specific to Dark Knight Returns Batman, or even a mud hole base, from where he fought the mutant leader. Instead, we get a reused Iron Man display base, and while it works, especially with the big Dark Knight Returns logo up front, depending on the pose, it might feel a little out of place. The third annoying thing is, what is this? Why does his cape look like this? It comes across as though he's wearing his cape like a sweater or something. I'm tempted to switch it out for a custom cape because having it on the outside of the bottom piece of the cowl just doesn't work for me. The first cool thing is the weathering. On the base of the cape, the belt, the undersuit, the gauntlets, it's pretty much everywhere. At first, I was nervous based on the blogger pics that he would just look slightly gross instead of weathered the way he's supposed to, but in person, thanks to the weave of the fabric, it actually does work. The second cool thing, now that we've got this bespoke body for Dark Knight Returns Batman with these proportions, it just blows the door wide open for future versions of him. Blue cape and cowl with the yellow symbol, blue cape and cowl with the scratches on the symbol, or even a Superman from Dark Knight Returns. I would honestly cop all of them. The third cool thing, look, I'm not a fan of this, but it's there if you want it. If you've got BVS Batman 2.0 by Hot Toys with the cowl that's got the split neck, just take the head bit off and it's 100% compatible with the base part of the cowl from the Dark Knight Returns body. Once again, not a fan of this, but it works in reverse as well. Dark Knight Returns head, BVS 2.0 body, properly connected. It's fully clipped in place. I think it's slightly too large and sits too high on the neck to be displayable, but you know what? At least now you know what it looks like. Wrapping up on Hot Toys, Dark Knight Returns Batman, those words coming out of my mouth, never thought it would happen. This is one of those pinch me, am I dreaming figures. It feels like it was designed specifically with me in mind, but it is not perfect. The cape thing is weird, how it sits over the base of the cowl, and he's got no ab crunch. But everything else, the size of him, the rest of his articulation, the array of accessories, the weathering, the suit being full fabric so you can leave him in dynamic poses, and a relatively interesting display base makes him worth getting. This figure, once it is gone, is going to be very hard to find on the aftermarket. I don't think they made a ton of these because comic book figures traditionally don't sell super well, so if you're on the fence, get off the frickin' fence. Get this before it is gone. It is, without a doubt, in my personal opinion, one of the very best Batman figures they have ever given us. And now that we have him, I'm hoping they keep giving us more Dark Knight Returns Batman figures with the blue and grey suit and the yellow chest symbol and the thigh strap thing with pouches. Hot Toys, Keep this line going. Give us other characters, Carrie Kelly, Joker, even Superman. There's so much more to explore with Dark Knight Returns. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down that way, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.